Hey, everybody. Here we are. Craig and I again. Craig's had a rough day today. You want to talk about it, Craig? You want to get it off your chest?
Yeah, I mean, I already did, but
Okay. Well, you had to let go of some cow pets today, huh?
yeah, it's part of the business. So, you care for these animals for a long time. You worry about them when they're limping, when they're not eating. You wake up early and feed them, and then ultimately today we woke up early, put them on a trailer, and shipped them off to the Okeechobee livestock market. Yeah.
Well, they will become delicious, right? Is that how that works? Okay.
Yeah. So when you're eating your beef today or tomorrow, know that there's an animal behind it, I guess. Know that.
And a farmer who was emotional. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, buddy. So how's your energy going to be today? Are you going to be
amazing? Yeah, I'm good. I'm happy. I'm seeing my buddy Pete, and we get to talk about something really important. And I think that the real benefit of this podcast and the benefit of our relationship is just being honest and admitting where we went wrong. Mm-hmm. And had you or I heard this episode we're about to record, let's say 10 years ago, and we would have taken it to heart, because there's one thing of listening to this crap, and the other thing is like, okay, let's really think about this, and how am I going to make my practice life different because of this new information? We would have been miles ahead.
Yeah, and it's something you don't think about a lot.
Well, you think about it when you get your ass in trouble, when you get in trouble, like you get your tail caught in a crack.
It seems obvious. So what we're talking about is this law, and I asked Craig if he had ever heard of it, because I see things and I write them down on kind of an idea board that's applicable to dentistry. And right before we record, I asked Craig, I said, have you ever heard of Packard's law? And he said, no, which I was actually surprised. I thought you'd be like, oh yeah, I know, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, this is a law. Packard's law was attributed to Hewlett Packard's co-founder, David Packard. And it's basically, it's a fundamental business principle that states a company cannot grow its revenues consistently faster than its ability to attract, hire, and retain people to implement that growth. And so the law emphasizes like a sustainable growth model. And if you look at that in terms of us going back to our scientific days, right? If you put, if you remember the term entropy, Craig, I don't know what your major was, but I was a chemistry major, and that term entropy was always thrown around, right? Things have a tendency towards chaos, right? You put a bunch of marbles in a jar and you shake it, it has a tendency to get as disorganized as possible without structure. Okay. So if you think about that in the core of a dental practice, right? And your dreams and your hopes and your visions, right? You're following the Bulletproof guidelines and you're setting up yourself to really get crystal clear clarity about what you want to build. And that's great. This is where the tactical starts coming in. Okay. How do I reverse engineer? If I want multiple locations and a giant office with 50 employees, then it's a different skill set, right? It's a different protocol than having 5. And what you and I were talking about before, Craig, was that when I had 5 employees once upon a time, it's really easy. I didn't really have to have a manual, and I didn't really have to have systems, because like I was like the mobile system. I was like the human system. Like I was always there. I was looking at things, right? I was able to.
You could reach out and touch everything,
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, well, and I also think, just to kind of
metaphorically speaking, of course.
Yeah, obviously. One of the things that you're going to find is, as you become successful and you're listening to a podcast like this, you're definitely thinking of growing your business, scaling, growing, doing more than just your own 2 hands can accomplish. You're taught, like, I flew planes at one point in my life. And, when you get into cloudy conditions, you have to trust the instruments. But when you're on solid ground, your limbic system never fails you. Like, I know when I'm turning right, I know when I'm turning left, I know when I'm falling, I know when I'm going up. My body's balance has never led me wrong in all my years on the planet. You get in a plane and you get in clouds, and you would swear you're diving to the left or climbing to the right. And an old pilot once told me, you know how you know if you're upside down or not in a plane in clouds? I'm like, how? He says, flick a quarter and see if it sticks to the ceiling. So, meaning you don't know which way.
It's frightening, by the way.
It's frightening. And I've been in situations where I was in clouds over the water or whatever, kind of, and had to rely upon my instruments, although I swore I was going down on the right. And what do I mean by all this? Why am I talking about this? The reason why is that you have a set of circumstances that got you to where you are, and you trust them. They've never led you wrong. And one of those beliefs is that if I have to, I know how to do it. I'm a great dentist. I know how to be a dental business person. And I just want to say, read the instruments on your business. Is your profit going down and to the left? Are people quitting? Are you having problems? It's because you're doing something that has always led you to the place that you are. But if you're going to go to the next level, you have to change what you're doing. So what got you here won't get you there. And that's what this podcast is about, actually, if you really think about it.
So Craig, I would say that Bulletproof Pod started with a different thesis. It was just about the business and the marketing and the tactical. That was like the beginning of it, right? This is kind of in the early days, right? Because anyway, it has, what I'm trying to say is through an evolution process, Bulletproof and the thesis of Bulletproof has evolved into something a lot more comprehensive, where you and I have come together. We've learned that and shared our notes that ultimately the leverage and alignment comes from your team. And once you can get that, that's when the magic happens. And I think so many times we talk about the nucleus of everything versus the aligned team, right? The aligned autonomous team, right? That is the goal. It feels good to be important in nucleus of everything. And you don't feel as important in the aligned autonomous team, right? But one is highly superior in terms of functionability.
Well, it depends on what you want to serve. You want to serve your ego, stay small and be in control of everything.
Well, like stay small and be the nucleus, right? Be important. Right. And yeah. I see.
Yeah. I mean, like, and you say the podcast has evolved. It's because you and I are evolved. You and I are both, really out of our practices. We both are majority owners in our practices, but we're out of the operations and out of everything. And it was very intentional, but we're hopeful that, maybe you don't want to go all the way to Peter's and my level, but you definitely, at the very minimum, want to have a business that can make $1 if you break your wrist. At the very minimum. If you decided to open up your own practice because you wanted some level of autonomy, the practice can be a boat anchor for you and keep you trapped. So at very minimum, if you go away for 2 weeks, it should make $1. It doesn't have to make $100,000, but it should make $1. Because if it doesn't, if you're the nucleus of everything and you're the one keeping it all afloat, when you go away for 2 weeks, it doesn't cost you opportunity. It costs you money because you're paying everyone to stay there while you're not producing. So a business has to grow larger than just you, needless to say.
All right. So we've identified, so Packer's Law is now the rule that says if the group gets bigger, it becomes harder to keep everyone working together smoothly. Agreed?
Yes. 100%.
And I will attest that that is the case, right? Meaning going from office 1 to 2, challenging. It's not, going from 6 people to 12 was not twice as hard. It was actually 3 times as hard.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it's not a linear exchange of numbers. And this is what happens. People get to the point of chaos and they're like, I need systems, I need better hires, or I need more managers, or I need. And I guess the point of bringing this podcast up isn't just to pontificate about, ooh, look at this Packard Law. Aren't we smart? We're bringing up a law. It's to hopefully create awareness on someone's growth pattern that they can say, hey, I'm going to almost treat this. And you were bringing up the military instance, Greg. I'd like for you to kind of expand on that. But
so just to touch on the Packard's Law. Sorry, go ahead.
And so what I'm going is that obviously this is different, meaning Packard's Law is different in your office than it is my multis, right? So there's different circumstances, but the core principles remain, meaning that there is a core group of people that can be quote unquote led or managed. I know you don't like the word when we say managed people because you say things get managed, people don't get managed. But like there's limited bandwidth of someone who's kind of in charge. And so in the military, I'll let you kind of explain that.
Yeah, well, I don't think we touched on what Packard Law really is.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, so it's basically your business's impediment is the ability to acquire more people, like human capital.
More in the right people to implement said vision, yes.
So without those people, we can, and even more specific to dentistry, because, listen, if you have AI or there's so many other businesses that are scalable without people, but dentistry, the reason why we're so blessed to be AI resistant and the curse is that we need people, so Packard's Law even more applicable to dentistry, but the military. So when you talked before we hit record, I'm like, this is reminiscent of the military, and the military says in all their divisions that at a certain point, you can't manage more than 5 to 7. You can't have more than 5 to 7 direct reports. So for those of us who have flat organizational structures, you pride yourself on it's just you at the top, and then it's really, really wide and flat, 14 people underneath you. You can't touch base and lead all those people. So what needs to happen in order to grow is you need to break out sub-departments. So hygiene leads are deciding what hygiene does. Assistant clinical leads are deciding hygienist, doctor leads. And then those people can all handle 5 to 7. But let's say you're multi-location and now you have, 10 locations and there's 10 clinical leads. So there needs to be a regional lead and whatnot. But studies show that at 5 to 7, things start breaking down. And it's just important to realize that you can't touch base with that many people. I know you think you're superhuman, but you can't.
And what's interesting is when someone's listening to this, someone who hasn't gone through it, because I know when I was listening to you say something like that, Craig, me 15 years ago would have said, well, shit, I can't afford like that being the person that's their job.
8 years ago would have said that. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but it doesn't have to be a duplicate hire, meaning that I have team leads on my team who are in one location, who is a hygienist in one and an assistant in another, right? It's a bolt-on of duties. It's not, we're not creating new positions, which is then bloating payrolls where I'm going.
Yeah. I mean, as long as your payroll stays in the same statistical range, it's fine. But it's like where we are at Bulletproof, coming off the heels of an oversold summit. We've never had such record attendance. And you and I had the same conversation of like time to add people, to our ecosystem to serve our masterminds better, to serve our people better. So it's like, there's always needing to be fuel in the fire. And we talk about this at the end of every year. You always have this, habit of telling me or asking me whether it's recorded or not, like, what do you have planned? How are you going to grow this year? And, if you haven't been adding fuel to the fire, people, operatories, locations, it's hard to grow. At a certain point, things become stale. So human capital is the most precious fuel of any fire of business to add, in my opinion. And I don't look at it as an expense. Good people, once you find them, it's like, if I found somebody, and this is kind of funny that I'm doing this, Peter, I haven't told you this yet, but I found somebody, Ashley, who's a local mom. She's a wife of a friend of mine. She has an awesome magazine she just started. It was my position that print magazines might start going, popular again. And she did a really good.
This is your hypothesis?
Well, no,
that print's going to get popular again.
I think people just want to pick up a magazine. Maybe it's because I'm like the boomer here. I don't know. We'll see. History will prove one of us correct.
Yeah.
As a friend of mine once said to me. But anyway, she's good. She put out a good magazine. I have other people in my organization like Darian who are great writers. So I'm like, listen, I'll do a magazine. And the point I'm trying to make with this is that when you find people that are good at what they do, I'm going to build things around them.
Wait. Times. Yeah. Sorry. We're going to stay on topic, but I want to make sure are you creating like a Spodak dental magazine potentially?
No. So what I'm doing is I'm investing in a magazine that I will be an advertiser in.
Oh, okay.
And I will have maybe a little bit more preference on the amount of pages and positioning I can get, but I'm going to be an arm's length advertiser and I'll own a piece of the magazine. Okay. But I just think that the point I was trying to make around people is if you know a great hygienist, wonderful hygienist in your area, and she's looking for work, but you haven't built out that operatory yet, and you're only booked out 4 weeks on your hygiene, not 6 weeks or 8 weeks. I would all day long, this is me personally, I would build that operatory like yesterday and hire that hygienist, because a good producer will fill their schedule, grow the practice.
So what you're saying, I think is, so going to always going to be the tactical guy here, right?
Yeah,
so
I know.
Packard's law, right?
Right.
So what is the antidote to make sure that that if entropy is coming as I grow, what is the antidote? And so one thing I would say, I would love for you to comment on this, is always be hiring, meaning you're always in hiring mode. And that seems overwhelming to people, right? Because the last thing we want to do is always, like hiring seems like it's such a burdensome thing for people as we coach in here. But what I say is you can't match up your dreams of growth and thoroughbreds coming into your life at the same time. They don't just magically align when you want, right? So sometimes your growth comes first and you have to scramble, your growth meaning an infrastructure, and then you have to scramble to go find thoroughbreds. An easier way is to always be hiring, find a true A player and figure it out, whether it's an associate, whether it's a hygienist, whether it's a front desk, you can expand to that, right? Because a good A player, Craig, will always find a way to make their worth in your ecosystem. Right? They will always find a way to make their
that's the
presence
definition
worth.
of a thoroughbred or an A player. An A player is not someone who can go up to bat and hit the ball, but will actually create the game and get the
make
people.
the team better.
Make the team better. So it's like you can't afford not to. If any A player, that's why people are like, hey, are you hiring for an associate? No, but I meet everyone. And you know what the funny thing is with my new partners, they don't have some of the, and I think you might be the same, because we've been at this a long time, and the urgency that we have is we have a high level of urgency. So someone asked one of my docs and, hey, are you hiring for an associate? Like, not now, we don't. And I'm like, no, dude, always meet everyone.
Yeah.
Because if someone's awesome, I mean, it's like a game of Survivor. Listen, your job as the head of the organization is to always be improving everything. And if there's someone that's just a B player and there's an A player that comes along, make room for the A player. It's like a game of Survivor. You always want to be innovating and growing. And for dentistry, our special sauce is our people.
Well, if you think about it, like, okay, I like where you're going with the sports analogy, right? Like people get, like the goal is to win the Super Bowl, right? For a football team, and people get traded and become free agents, and you're always looking for better trades or people coming off. And then there's the draft, right? But you can only have set number of people on your football team by NFL rules, right? So like, they are not playing the game. Well, this person's been with us a long time. They get, they're old and they make a lot of mistakes for our team, but they got to stay because they got to stay, even though they fumble the ball and they kick it to the wrong side of the field,
or they get injured. It's not even their fault.
Right.
If you get injured, you're off the damn team, which is crazy. So if the goal is to win the Super Bowl, and by winning the Super Bowl is getting that profit percentage and serving the patients, you got to upgrade. By the way, if you, as the owner doc, start doing really advanced cases and you had a doctor, Dr. Filling next to you, and you go to COIS or you go to some other program, and you start upgrading the type of care that you give your patients, but your associate does not want to grow, you can outgrow the associate, just like in a marriage, you can outgrow each other. So it's a very dynamic and evolving aspect, but business always needs to be looking for upgraded people, for absolute sure.
That's why I like, assessments, because you don't know, and I like putting data. Like, I think Craig, you will attest to, like, I like you, you like sushi, like we like the same thing, you're hired, right? And that's not a good hiring strategy, right? So how do you identify thoroughbred when everyone, do you follow where I'm going with this? Like,
no, I know. I think that the number one thing is hunger.
Mm-hmm.
I can train someone to enroll patients in Invisalign. There's clinical courses that can teach you how to become a badass dentist. Just may take certain people longer, other people, but hunger. What do you want for yourself? And we have masterminders that are in our ecosystem right now that are like, my doctor's been on the same $500 a day guarantee for the last 3 years. They never produced more than 300 grand. You said something about the bus or the team, and it's like, this team's going to the Super Bowl. But what I tell doctors is this plane that you're on at SDG is like a jet. It goes 500 miles an hour. If you want to go 45 miles an hour, there's probably a great bus for you. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but it's going to be annoying to put pressure on someone who doesn't want to sprint. They're going to hate you for it. And I try to do it in a nice way, like, hey, don't you want to treat patients at a higher level, or, take better care of your patients, or make more money and take better care of your family? But a lot of times doctors just don't want it. You will piss people off and they will wind up hating you if you want more for them than they want for themselves.
So you're bringing up something that just struck a nerve with me. Not a nerve, but it hit me of something being guilty of. And I'm using your bus analogy, right? Like when I had gaps, it was my orders were just fill the bus, fill the seat, and let's move on. Like, because I was speed over everything. Move on. I have places to go. Just fill the bus. This seat is empty. Just fill it, manager. Just fill it, office manager. Right. And then she would feel the pressure for me being like, fill the bus. And then in my head, when I saw someone back up at the front desk answering phones, I'm like, okay, great. The bus is full. Back to my cases, back to enrollment, back to marketing, back. And I think, Craig, if you and I have learned anything in our seniority of, is that the same as being almost a senior? Well, you're almost a senior. Not the same.
Yeah, roughly the same. I'll take it. Just go with it.
I'm
Well,
just
our
kidding.
tenure of
But we
experience,
learn,
for sure.
you learn like, okay, that was probably a poor strategy, right? I was trying to bring some humor into it.
Well, listen, going fast. Like, there's a certain skill set that is needed to break the inertia to start a business. You have to have grit, impatience, like a chip on your shoulder. The skill to start a business is almost exactly opposite to running it.
Yes. Oh my God.
So when you
say that again for the people in the back.
So you break things, you move fast, you pivot, you grow, you are not detailed, you're flexible. I don't care
agile.
what it takes. You're agile. But then if you have a mature business that's operating and you come in like a freaking tornado one day, like I did on August 7th, and say, what are we doing? Do this, do that. Like, what do we do? It's like
your cruise ship cannot turn the same way as your Boston whaler.
Right.
Correct.
So I am great at starting something. I am not great at managing it. And Peter, you are not good at that either. We wanna start things. We like fresh
and get out of the way.
Yeah, get out of the way.
Yeah, that's what we like. Yes.
Yeah. And as long as it's working well, patients are happy. No one needs to, no one needs to be chastised. No one needs to be reprimanded. And there's no hostility, no freneticism. Something.
So let's. I want to wrap because I'm on a quest to keep things short and sweet, tactical, create awareness, and move on. So what we discussed is that there will be, as people increase, so will the entropy. Okay. As teams increase, so will the lack of alignment will as well. So if you are on a quest to grow your business, be aware. And then the antidote for some of this will be always be hiring, creating guidelines and systems before you actually need them, meaning don't get to a critical mass where I'm overwhelmed at 20 and you feel like there's no hope for your practice because you never created them. It's like, don't wait till you need it. Start thinking about this. If you have 5 employees now and you're going to have 21 days, start thinking about this stuff now, even though you don't need it. Like I gave you this situation of you can touch everything when you're at 5. Craig, give me one more antidote for this from a tactical. I know this is making you stretch. And there can be nothing, right? Maybe there's not.
I can say something here. So always, I think the one tactical thing, it might not be tactical enough for you, but your emotions around delegation are most likely flawed. So delegation seems like a dirty word for many business owners, like putting it off on other people. I'll just do it. So a lot of micromanagement is born out of really good intentions. I don't want to bother Sally. I'll just do it myself.
They get confused with like an abdication, right? It's confusion.
And also, but you just feel guilty. Like, you used to tease me all the time, like, we're going to do that. You would tease me about it. Like, by we, Craig, you're not doing any of it. Yeah, but I'll set it into motion.
Right.
But the point that I want to make here, the tactical point, is just understand that when you delegate, you're growing people.
It's very good.
And they get opportunities to grow, make more money. And that's your job as a business owner. Figure out innovative ways for your team to continually grow in your organization. I think that's really, really important. And if you look at like what you've done, Peter, you got Kim doing more than she's ever done and making more. You got like a doctor, your CEO King is doing more, making more. These are good opportunities for people.
Right.
And yes, they're working their tail, right? And they're doing better.
Right.
And it's fulfilling. Look at what they're able to do. So it's like our job to get the hell out of the way, give people more opportunity, help them make more money. And sometimes they just don't know it.
But you say like oh, we're like just these relics outside of our practice. Like I, like you, am still used very heavily for strategy and vision and mentorships and concepts. So, but that is what we've identified as my strength. My strength is not payroll. My strength is not spreadsheets. My strength is ideas. Let's seeing things, like you always say, I see the 5 steps ahead of everybody. And like that is, so we use that now. Right.
Right.
So it is, but to your point, the act of delegation is not, oh, you're giving this to me because you're lazy, you're getting lazy, or you just don't want to do it. It's no, I want to live in my zone of genius. And everyone has a zone of genius.
Yeah, they do.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, bud. That was quick. Any announcements? Anything you want to say instead of just saying goodbye to everyone? Is there anything you want to announce or talk about or circle back on? One thing we don't mention a lot is I was once again reassured. Someone in my team had to look at our credit card processing fees, Craig.
Yeah.
And, we have a good deal with this group called MCC, and it's called Dental Merchant. But if you don't know what
dentalmerchant.com.
Yeah, if you don't know what you're like, everyone's always like, oh, I can't. Everyone tries and like, I can't touch that. So if you don't know what your fees are, which I didn't know before the day, I just thought I thought all banks charged the same.
Yeah.
Right. So one way to become bulletproof is to bulletproof your profitability, and this is a great way. $1 saved is not the same as $1 earned, by the way. Right.
Yeah. One thing that's funny is I tell the story, but it hasn't been told in a while. My CPA said, looking from one year to another, and he's like, look, you don't take credit cards anymore. Did you change your policy and charge that credit card fee that gets passed on? I said, no. Funny enough, I had a dental merchant negotiate my credit card fees, and they gave me half the savings, and they keep half because they stay involved. Because what happens is typically I would negotiate, and 60 days later they go back up and they don't notice it. Erica just caught our credit card fees going up again, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? Guess what happened? Our Amex bill, our statement got separated from the Visa MasterCard, so Dental Merchant was not looking at my Amex. So I sent it back in, and now they saved me another. I mean, I don't even want to tell you the number, but it's not like $2 or $3 grand a year. It's
right. It's significant.
It's six figures.
That's a funny thing because
five figures. Sorry, it's 5 figures. I said
that happens. That's a very problematic thing in supplies too. Meaning, like, people get pissed off, then they go back to their supply house or whatever, and they say, well, my buddy's paying 50 cents for this and you're charging me 75, and they're like, oh, doc, we can put you on this special program, and then
DSO pricing,
and then guess what happens 6 months later? Slips back. Yeah, it slips back, but we don't have they know we don't have the bandwidth to go check our cotton rolls every month, kind of the pricing. And so it's just damn it. It's just all I can say.
That's just business. Like you said, entropy happens. Everything gets disorganized. You dial in your supply costs, then guess what? Your clear aligner business goes to crap. So you talk about clear aligners and your hygiene percentages fall to crap. That's why if you have a flat organizational structure and you're trying to own 10 different departments, it's not going to happen. Let each person own something. If you have an industrious person that likes to clip coupons and take them to the supermarket, that is your supply person. If you have anybody that's willing to clip coupons and go to the Publix and get 50 cents off their milk, that's a person that can be in touch with your supply department and just say, if the supplies get from 5.2 to 4.1, that 1% or 1.1% of $1 million is a lot of money, and you can get an extra blank dollars if you can keep it there. And just make that person your supply. Can you say supply Nazi? Is that okay to say that?
No.
Your supply Nazi?
Well, okay.
I can. You can. So your supply fascist. How's that?
Yeah.
A little bit more. Yeah. Your supply guru. Make it nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, Pete, nice to see you, bud.
Yeah,
Thanks
buddy.
as always.
Yeah,
I wish I would have heard this 10 years ago. If you like what we're saying, you think it's valuable, can you please hit the like button or subscribe on YouTube, or at least share this with one friend that's going through an entrepreneurial cycle.
Yeah, and you know what I'm saying? Our reviews, Craig, and so like I was thinking about this in the car as I was looking at the metrics for all the practice locations, like looking at the reviews, and we track these every day on how many reviews we get for each location. And I was thinking to myself, it's funny. We are using these 3 R's in our dental practice, right? We ask for referrals and reviews and reappoints, with everything in our verbiage and ending. And what we don't do is we never ask our listener base for reviews. And
never.
And I think our reviews per our listenership is a little bit anemic, meaning.
Well, we don't ask for it
because we don't
like
ask.
when you let a patient go out of your practice every single time, you're like, hey, thank you so much. That was great. No problem. Call me if you need something. Ask them at that point.
Right.
Hey, appreciate you telling me we're great, but would you mind telling the world? So we're going to ask the same thing if you don't mind.
Yeah. So if you haven't done that and we've done any value for you, right? Look, we'll never know. Well, maybe we will if you put your name in there, but like you would be doing two guys a solid if you took the time. Give us some stars. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know we've added any value. And yeah, love you guys. And we're over and out.
See you guys. Thanks, Petey. Petey Pablo. You know who Petey